He said those 3 words at a rooftop dinner. Drunk, careless, cruel, never imagining the elegant woman 2 tables away would hear every syllable. "I'm tired of loud black women," Logan Pierce muttered, and the room went silent as she stood up, walked over with devastating composure, and delivered a response so quiet it shattered him. Sometimes silence says more than shouting ever could. By morning, the video had gone viral. His career was hanging by a thread, and karma had one more twist in store. She walked into his office wearing a consultant badge, assigned to audit his entire department. What he didn't know was that his careless words would cost him everything: his promotion, his pride, and eventually his heart. But here's the real question. Can a man who publicly humiliated a black woman ever truly change, or was his redemption just another performance? Subscribe and comment below if you've ever had to work with someone who disrespected you, because this story is about to show you what real transformation looks like. The rooftop restaurant glowed with soft amber lights. Below, Atlanta's skyline stretched out like a sea of diamonds. Friday night always brought this crowd: consultants, analysts, venture people, all talking too loud, drinking too much, pretending the week hadn't worn them down. Logan Pierce leaned back in his chair, his 3rd whiskey warming his chest. The deal had fallen through. 3 months of work, gone. His boss would have questions Monday morning, and Logan had no good answers. Harper Quinn sat across from him, her dark hair pulled back, her expression cautious. She'd worked with Logan for 5 years. She knew his moods, knew when to push and when to let him spiral. "You'll bounce back," Harper said. "You always do." Logan swirled his glass. "I'm tired, Harper. Just tired of all the noise." "What noise?" He gestured vaguely at the restaurant, at the tables full of people networking, laughing, performing. "This, all of it. Everyone's always performing, always loud, always—" He stopped himself, but the whiskey kept talking. "I'm tired of loud black women," he said, his voice carrying farther than he meant. "Always making scenes, always demanding attention." The words hung in the air. Harper's face went pale. "Logan." 2 tables away, a woman turned slowly in her seat. She wore a navy dress that fit perfectly, and her natural hair framed her face in soft curls. Her eyes, calm, dark, steady, locked onto Logan's. The restaurant didn't go silent. People still talked, still laughed, but in that small corner of the rooftop, everything stopped. Elise Jordan set down her water glass. She stood up, smoothing her dress. She walked toward Logan's table, each step deliberate, unhurried. She didn't look angry. She didn't look hurt. She just looked present. She stopped 3 feet from his chair. "Sometimes," she said, her voice soft and clear, "silence says more than shouting ever could." Then she turned and walked away, her heels clicking against the wooden floor. She collected her purse from her table, said goodbye to her colleagues, and left. Logan sat frozen. Around them, conversations resumed, but Harper wouldn't look at him. "Harper," he started. She stood up, dropping her napkin on the table. "Don't." "I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did." Harper grabbed her coat. "That's the problem, Logan. You always mean it. You're just usually smart enough not to say it out loud." She left him sitting there alone, the city lights blurring in his peripheral vision. Elise drove home with the windows down, letting the cool night air fill her car. Her hands stayed steady on the wheel. Her breathing stayed even. She'd heard worse. Growing up in Atlanta, navigating corporate spaces, earning her degrees, she'd heard every version of that insult, usually wrapped in politeness, usually delivered with a smile. At least he'd been honest. She parked in her apartment complex and climbed the stairs to her 2nd-floor unit. Inside, she dropped her purse on the kitchen counter and kicked off her heels. Her phone buzzed. A text from her colleague. "You okay?" "Fine," she typed back. "Just tired." She poured herself a glass of water and stood at the window, looking out at the street below. A car passed. A dog barked. Life continued, indifferent to small humiliations. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. "Don't carry anger, baby. Carry truth." Elise set down her glass. She wouldn't file a complaint. She wouldn't make a scene. She'd do what she always did. Show up, do her work, let her competence speak for itself. She went to bed thinking about anything except Logan Pierce's stupid, careless words. Logan woke to his phone exploding with notifications. At first he thought it was work. Then he saw the tags. Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. A video shared and reshared, captioned with words like casual racism and corporate culture. His stomach dropped. The video showed him clearly. Suit jacket draped over his chair, whiskey in hand, face flushed. Audio slightly muffled but clear enough. I'm tired of loud black women, always making scenes. Then the camera panned to Elise, standing with perfect posture, delivering her quiet response before walking away with dignity intact. The comments section was a war zone. White mediocrity strikes again. Fire him. This is exactly what black women deal with every day. Logan threw his phone across the room. It bounced off the couch and landed on the carpet. He sat on the edge of his bed, head in his hands. He'd been drunk. He'd been frustrated. But neither excuse erased what he'd said or how he'd said it. His phone buzzed again. He retrieved it, hands shaking. A text from his mother. Call me. Another from Harper. We need to talk. Monday. And one from his boss. Andrew Kim. My office. 8 a.m. sharp. Logan stood in the shower for 30 minutes, letting hot water run over his head, wishing he could wash away the last 12 hours. Elise saw the video when she woke up Sunday morning. Her colleague had texted again. It's everywhere. I'm so sorry. Elise clicked the link, watched herself on screen calm and composed, watched Logan's face cycle through confusion and shame. She closed the app. Her mother called minutes later. I saw it, Diana Jordan said, her voice warm and steady. You want to come over? I'm okay, Mama. I know you're okay. I'm asking if you want to come over. Elise smiled despite herself. Yeah, I'll bring lunch. Monday morning arrived cold and grey. Elise wore a charcoal suit and pearl earrings. She'd prepared her notes, reviewed her schedule, packed her laptop with meticulous care. The assignment had come through 3 weeks ago, a consulting contract with a mid-sized venture firm downtown. Audit their data systems, review their processes, deliver recommendations. Standard work, good pay. She'd accepted without knowing who she'd be working with. Now standing in the lobby of the glass-front building, she wondered if she should have asked more questions. The elevator took her to the 12th floor. The doors opened onto a sleek modern office, glass walls, ergonomic chairs, motivational posters about innovation and disruption. A woman in her early 30s waited by the reception desk. She had sharp features and kind eyes. Elise Jordan? The woman asked. That's me, Harper Quinn. I'm the senior analyst here. Harper extended her hand and they shook. I'll be your main point of contact during the audit. Nice to meet you. Harper hesitated. I saw the video. I figured. For what it's worth, Harper said quietly. I'm sorry. Logan was out of line. Elise kept her expression neutral. I'm just here to do my job. Of course. Harper gestured down the hallway. Let me show you to the conference room. We have a team meeting at 9. They walked past rows of cubicles and offices. People glanced up from their computers, then quickly looked away. A few whispered. Elise kept her chin up, her pace steady. The conference room had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A long table dominated the center, surrounded by leather chairs. Elise set down her bag and pulled out her laptop. Coffee, Harper offered. Please. Black, no sugar. Harper left. Elise opened her files and began reviewing the audit scope. Focus on the work. Let everything else fade into background noise. Footsteps approached, multiple people entering the conference room. Elise looked up. Logan Pierce stood in the doorway. For a moment, neither moved. His face went pale. His mouth opened, then closed. Harper appeared behind him, coffee in hand, her expression carefully blank. Elise, Harper said, this is the team you'll be working with. The meeting was brutal in its politeness. Andrew Kim, the division head, introduced everyone with practiced efficiency. Logan sat at the far end of the table, avoiding eye contact. 2 junior analysts fidgeted with their pens. Claire, the social media intern, looked like she wanted to disappear into her chair. Elise presented her audit plan. Clear, professional, thorough. She spoke in complete sentences. Never rushed, never faltered. Years of practice had taught her how to command a room without raising her voice. Questions? She asked when she finished. Silence. Andrew Kim leaned forward, a thin smile on his face. I'm sure Logan has questions. He'll be your primary liaison during this process. Logan's head snapped up. What? Problem? Andrew asked, his tone pleasant and sharp at once. No, Logan said quickly. No problem. Elise met Logan's eyes across the table. I look forward to working with you. Her voice carried no sarcasm, no anger, just pure professional courtesy. It was worse than any insult she could have thrown. The meeting ended. People scattered quickly, relieved to escape the tension. Logan lingered, shuffling papers he didn't need to shuffle. Harper stayed too, protective and watchful. Elise packed her laptop with the same care she'd unpacked it. Ms. Jordan, Logan started. It's just Elise. Elise. He took a breath. I need to apologize. This is work, she interrupted, her tone gentle but firm. Let's keep it that way. But Mr. Pierce, she looked at him directly. I'm here to audit your department's data systems, not to discuss Friday night. If you can maintain professionalism, so can I. She picked up her bag and walked out, leaving Logan standing there with unspoken words caught in his throat. Harper waited until Elise was gone, then turned to Logan. You're making this worse. I'm trying to apologize. She doesn't want your apology right now. She wants to do her job without being reminded every 5 minutes that you insulted her in public. Harper crossed her arms. Let her work, give her space. Maybe she'll be ready to hear you out later. Logan sank into a chair. I didn't know she'd be working here. Would it have mattered? He didn't answer. Harper left him alone in the conference room, surrounded by empty chairs and the weight of his own mistake. That evening, Logan sat in his apartment, scrolling through the comments under the viral video. Each one landed like a punch. Typical white guy, thinks he can say whatever he wants. She handled that with so much grace. He didn't deserve her composure. Hope he gets fired. His doorbell rang. Harper stood in the hallway, holding a pizza box. You're not answering your phone. I'm fine. Liar. She pushed past him into the apartment. Eat something, you look terrible. They sat on his couch eating pizza in silence. Harper didn't offer comfort. She just sat with him, solid and present, the way friends do. She's brilliant, Harper finally said. Her presentation today was flawless. She's going to find every weak point in our data systems, and she's going to fix them, and Andrew's going to hate that she's smarter than him. Logan set down his pizza. I feel sick. Good. You should. Harper wiped her hands on a napkin. But feeling sick doesn't fix anything. You want to make this right. Do your job. Respect her work. And maybe, show her you're not the person you were Friday night. What if I am? Harper looked at him with something between pity and frustration. Then you'll stay exactly where you are. Alone. Ashamed. Stuck. She left him with half a pizza and a lot to think about. Elise drove to her mother's house after work. Diana Jordan lived in a small ranch-style home in East Atlanta, surrounded by azaleas and oak trees. The porch light glowed warm and welcoming. Diana answered the door in a soft cardigan and slippers. She'd had surgery 6 weeks ago. Nothing life-threatening, just a procedure that required rest and careful movement. Baby girl, Diana said, pulling Elise into a gentle hug. They sat in the kitchen while Elise unpacked groceries. Chicken, vegetables, rice. She cooked while her mother sat at the table peeling potatoes slowly. How was your first day? Diana asked. Professional. That's not what I asked. Elise chopped onions with practiced precision. It was fine, Mama. Awkward, but fine. The man from the video? He works there. I'm auditing his department. Diana set down her peeler. Lord have mercy. It's okay. I can handle it. I know you can handle it. Question is, should you have to? Elise didn't answer. She focused on browning the chicken, measuring the rice, keeping her hands busy. They ate dinner together, talking about small things. Diana's garden, a cousin's new baby, a TV show they both watched. Normal things. Safe things. After dinner, they sat on the porch with sweet tea, watching fireflies drift through the yard. Mama, Elise said quietly, he tried to apologize today. What did you tell him? That this is work. That we need to keep it professional. Diana nodded slowly. That's smart. But nothing. That's smart. Diana sipped her tea. Don't carry anger, baby. Carry truth. You know who you are. Don't let anybody make you forget. Elise leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. I won't. They sat like that until the mosquitoes drove them inside, mother and daughter, bound by love and understanding that needed no words. Tuesday morning arrived with rain. Elise sat at her temporary desk in a glass-walled office, reviewing data files. Numbers scrolled past. Clean, organized, mostly accurate, but there were gaps. Small inconsistencies that suggested rushed work or incomplete processes. She made notes, highlighted sections, built a mental map of the department's weaknesses. Someone knocked on the glass. Logan stood outside holding 2 coffee cups. Elise hesitated, then gestured for him to enter. Peace offering, he said, setting a cup on her desk. I remembered. Black, no sugar. Thank you. He hovered by the door, uncertain. Harper said I should give you space. Harper's smart. She is. Logan shifted his weight. I just wanted to say, I know I can't fix what I said, but I can try to be better, starting now. Elise looked at him carefully. His eyes were bloodshot. His suit looked slept in. He seemed smaller somehow, diminished by shame and consequences. Okay, she said simply. Okay, okay, be better. I'll notice. She turned back to her computer. Was there something work-related you needed? Oh, yeah. He pulled out his phone, fumbling slightly. Harper wanted me to send you the Q3 reports. I have them. Send them to my email. I'll review them this afternoon. Right, yeah, I'll do that. He left quickly, relief and embarrassment competing on his face. Elise sipped the coffee. It was perfect, exactly how she liked it. She hated that he'd remembered. The week crawled forward. Elise worked methodically through data files and reports. She interviewed team members, asked sharp questions, took detailed notes. People were cautious around her, polite but distant, except Harper, who treated her with easy warmth. Lunch? Harper asked Thursday afternoon. They walked to a cafe 3 blocks away. Small tables, good sandwiches, coffee that tasted like actual coffee instead of burnt water. You settling in okay? Harper asked. It's fine. You keep saying that. Elise smiled slightly. Because it keeps being true. Harper studied her. You're tougher than I am. If someone had said that about me, I'd have thrown my drink in his face. I thought about it, but you didn't. No. Elise picked at her salad. My mama raised me better. She always said, don't give people the reaction they expect. It takes away their power. Your mother sounds wise. She is. They ate in comfortable silence. Then Harper said carefully, Logan's not a bad person. I didn't say he was. He's just privileged, careless. He doesn't think before he speaks. That's not an excuse. I know. Harper set down her fork. I'm not defending what he said. I'm just saying he's learning. Finally. At 33, he's finally learning. Elise looked out the window. Rain had started again, light and persistent. I hope he does. Learn, I mean. You're being generous. I'm being practical. Elise met Harper's eyes. I'm here for 6 weeks. I can spend that time angry, or I can spend it doing good work. Anger's exhausting. Harper smiled. I like you. I like you too. They finished lunch talking about easier things. Movies, music, weekend plans. By the time they walked back to the office, Elise felt lighter. Maybe this assignment wouldn't be so bad after all. Friday afternoon, someone left a newspaper clipping on Elise's desk. The article featured a screenshot from the viral video, along with commentary about workplace discrimination and corporate accountability. Someone had highlighted Logan's name in yellow marker. Elise stared at it for a long moment. Harper appeared in the doorway. Who did this? I don't know. Harper grabbed the clipping and crumpled it. This is harassment. We should report it. It's just paper. It's targeted. It's meant to intimidate you. Elise pulled the crumpled paper from Harper's hand and smoothed it out on her desk. She read it once more, then filed it calmly in a folder. What are you doing? Harper asked. Documenting. Elise's voice stayed level. If it happens again, I'll have evidence, but I'm not reacting to one piece of paper. You're incredibly calm. Practice. Logan appeared behind Harper, saw the newspaper in the folder, and his face darkened. Who put that there? We don't know, Harper said. He turned to Elise. I'll find out. You'll do nothing, Elise said firmly. This is between me and HR if it continues. Not you. But, Mr. Pierce. She stood up, gathering her things. I appreciate your concern, but I don't need you to fight my battles. I've been handling this kind of thing my whole life. The words landed softly, but they hit hard. Logan opened his mouth, then closed it. He nodded once and stepped back. Elise picked up her bag. Have a good weekend. She walked past both of them, shoulders square, head high, leaving them standing in her office, surrounded by the weight of things unsaid. That evening, Harper invited them both to dinner. A work thing, she insisted, nothing personal. Just the 3 of them, going over project timelines at a small Italian place downtown. Elise almost declined, but something in Harper's voice, hopeful, genuine, made her agree. The restaurant was warm and dimly lit, with checkered tablecloths and the smell of garlic bread. They sat at a corner table, menus in hand. Logan looked nervous. Harper looked determined. Elise just felt tired. They ordered. Logan asked for wine. Elise stuck with water. Harper got both. Conversation started awkward. Work topics, safe and boring. But gradually, Harper steered them toward lighter ground. Movies they'd seen, places they'd traveled, stories from college that made them laugh despite the tension. Elise found herself relaxing. Logan was different here, less arrogant, more careful. He listened when she spoke. He asked questions without interrupting, small changes but noticeable. The waiter brought their food. As he set down Elise's pasta, his elbow caught her water glass. It tipped, spilling across the table, soaking the tablecloth, and splashing onto her dress. "I'm so sorry," the waiter said, mortified. Elise stood quickly, brushing water off her lap. "It's okay. Accidents happen." Logan was already on his feet, napkins in hand. He offered them to her without a word, his movements efficient and careful. "Thank you," she said softly. Their eyes met for a brief second. Something passed between them, not forgiveness but acknowledgement. A small crack in the wall she'd built. The waiter brought towels. They cleaned up together, all three of them, working in strange harmony. The meal continued, quieter now, more thoughtful. After dinner they walked outside into cool night air. The city hummed around them, traffic, voices, life continuing its endless rhythm. Logan cleared his throat. "Elise," she turned to him. "People remember how you make them feel," he said quietly. "Not what you say, someone told me that once." She studied his face. "Someone smart." "Yeah," he managed a small smile. "Someone very smart." They stood there in the glow of streetlights, the distance between them still vast, but maybe, just maybe, not as impossible as it had seemed a week ago. Harper watched them both, saying nothing, hoping everything. Elise drove home that night, thinking about small moments. A spilled glass of water. Napkins offered without hesitation, eyes meeting across a table. Logan Pierce had insulted her, humiliated her, reduced her to a stereotype in front of colleagues and strangers. But tonight, he'd been human, flawed and trying, still learning. She pulled into her parking space and sat in the quiet car, hands on the steering wheel. Her mother's voice echoed again. Silence says more than shouting ever could. Elise smiled in the darkness. Maybe silence was just a start. Maybe boundaries came next. And maybe someday there'd be room for something more, but not yet. Not yet. She grabbed her purse and headed inside, ready for the weekend, ready for rest, ready for whatever Monday might bring. Monday morning came too fast. Elise stood in the conference room, laptop open, presentation ready. Logan sat across from her, Harper beside him. Andrew Kim leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching with sharp eyes. "Joint findings," Andrew said. "You two, together. Show me what you've got." Elise glanced at Logan. He nodded once. She began. Her slides were clean, her data clear. She walked through the audit findings, gaps in their tracking system, inconsistencies in client reporting, redundant processes that wasted time. Logan added context when needed. He knew the business side, the client relationships, the reasons behind some of the messy data. They moved through the presentation like dancers who'd barely learned the steps but were trying not to step on each other's toes. It wasn't smooth, but it worked. Andrew watched silently. When they finished, he straightened and walked to the front of the room. "Good," he said. "Fix it. You have 4 weeks." He left without another word. Harper exhaled. "Well, that went better than expected." Elise started packing her laptop. Her hands moved steadily, but her heart raced. Working alongside Logan on a presentation was one thing. Working alongside him for 4 weeks was another. Logan stood by the window, looking out at the city. After Harper left, he turned to Elise. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for keeping your voice steady when I didn't." She paused, her laptop half closed. "We're professionals, that's the job. Still, thank you." She nodded but didn't smile. She walked past him, and for a moment, their shoulders almost brushed. Almost. Wednesday morning, Elise stopped at her favorite cafe before work. Small place, 2 blocks from the office. They knew her order. Large coffee, black, and a blueberry muffin. She sat at a corner table reviewing notes on her phone. The cafe hummed with early morning energy, espresso machines hissing, people talking in low voices, the smell of fresh bread filling the air. The chair across from her scraped back. Logan stood there, coffee cup in hand, looking uncertain. "All the other tables are full. Do you mind?" She glanced around. He was right. Every seat taken, people waiting by the door. "Go ahead." He sat down carefully like he was defusing a bomb. They drank their coffee in silence. Outside, rain started again, Atlanta's spring weather, unpredictable and persistent. "You come here often?" Logan asked. "Every morning. I've never seen you here before." "I come early, before the crowd." More silence. Not comfortable, but not hostile either. Just 2 people sharing a table because the world was crowded, and sometimes you had to make room. Logan cleared his throat. "Harper mentioned you studied at Georgia Tech." "I did, data analytics. That's where I went, business school." "I know. It was in your file." He winced slightly. "Right. The audit." Elise took a bite of her muffin. What made you go into venture consulting? Honestly, the money. And I liked the idea of helping companies grow. He stirred his coffee. What about you? Why data? I like problems with clear answers. Numbers don't lie. They don't have opinions. They just are. That sounds peaceful? It is. They talked about small things after that. Favorite professors, campus memories, the good food truck that used to park near the library. Conversation came easier than either expected. Logan mentioned his mother, a retired therapist who lived in the suburbs, who'd raised him alone after his father left when he was 10. Elise talked about her mother too, Diana's strength, her wisdom, her garden full of azaleas. She sounds wonderful, Logan said. She is. Elise checked her phone. We should get to work. They walked back together, not side by side, but not avoiding each other either. Just two people heading in the same direction. Harper saw them through the cafe window as she arrived late, stuck in traffic. She smiled to herself. Progress. Thursday afternoon. Everything changed. Andrew Kim called a surprise meeting. Elise arrived to find Logan already there, looking confused. Harper came in next, then Claire, the social media intern, her face pale and nervous. Andrew stood at the head of the table, a tablet in his hands. We have an opportunity. He turned the tablet around. On screen, a draft press release. Local executive commits to diversity training after viral incident. The release positioned Logan as someone who'd recognized his mistake and was taking steps toward growth and understanding. It included quotes he'd never said, promises about company-wide initiatives, even a photo op with a diversity consultant. Elise's stomach turned cold. This goes out Friday, Andrew said. It's good PR, shows accountability, turns the narrative. Logan stared at the screen. I didn't agree to this. You don't have to agree. The company's reputation is at stake. You're using what I said, what I did, as a marketing tool. Logan's voice rose. That's disgusting. Andrew's expression didn't change. That's business. Elise stood up. Her chair scraped loud against the floor. Everyone turned to look at her. This is exploitation, she said, her voice quiet but cutting. You're taking a moment of real harm and turning it into corporate performance. That's not accountability, that's theater. Andrew raised an eyebrow. Ms. Jordan. No. She picked up her bag. I won't be part of this. If this press release goes out, I'm done with this contract. She walked to the door. Elise, wait, Logan called. She turned back. Did you know about this? No, I swear. But you work for him. You report to him. And now everyone's going to think you're using me, using what happened, to save your career. Her eyes shone with anger and hurt. Logan had never seen her like this, not calm, not composed, but raw and real. I would never, he started. It doesn't matter what you do. It matters what people will think. She looked at Andrew. Pull that press release or find a new consultant. She left. The room stayed silent. Claire looked like she might cry. Harper glared at Andrew with open hostility. Andrew shrugged. She'll cool down. No, Logan said. She won't. Logan found Andrew alone in his office an hour later. Pull the press release, Logan said. Andrew didn't look up from his computer. No, I'm not asking. Then you're insubordinate. Andrew finally met his eyes. You made this mess. I'm cleaning it up. By exploiting her? By making her relive the worst moment of this whole situation? By protecting the company? By protecting you? Andrew leaned back in his chair. You should be thanking me. Logan's hands curled into fists at his sides. If you release that statement, I'll issue my own, contradicting it, calling it exactly what it is. Andrew's expression hardened. That would be a mistake. Maybe, but it'd be my mistake, not something you forced on me. They stared at each other across the desk. Two men, two different definitions of strength. You're willing to tank your career over this? Andrew asked. I'm willing to do the right thing. Finally. Andrew's jaw tightened. Fine. The press release dies. But so does your promotion. You'll take a step back. Senior consultant down to regular consultant. Effective immediately. Done. You'll lose access to major client accounts. Fine. Harper will report directly to me now, not to you. That one hurt, but Logan nodded. Whatever it takes. Andrew smiled coldly. You're a fool, Pierce. Maybe, but I'm not cruel. Logan turned to leave, then stopped. And I'm not you. He walked out. Adrenaline pumping, fear mixing with something that felt almost like pride. The news spread fast. By Friday afternoon, everyone knew Logan had been demoted. Whispers followed him through the halls. Some people looked sympathetic, others looked satisfied. Harper found him in his new, smaller office. No window, cramped 2 sizes down from where he'd been. "You really did it," she said. "Yeah." Andrew's furious. "Good." Harper sat on the edge of his desk. "Elise doesn't know yet. About the demotion, I mean. She knows you killed the press release I told her, but she doesn't know what it cost you. Don't tell her." "Logan, I mean it. This isn't about impressing her. It's about doing what's right." He rubbed his face, exhausted. "For once in my life, I want to do something good without expecting applause." Harper studied him. 5 years she'd worked with this man. She'd seen him arrogant, careless, brilliant, and frustrating. But this was new. "You're changing," she said softly. "Trying to." She squeezed his shoulder and left him alone in his small office, surrounded by boxes he still needed to unpack. That evening, Elise worked late. The building grew quiet as people left for the weekend. She liked it this way. Just her, the hum of the computer, and work that made sense. She heard footsteps in the hall, looked up to see Logan passing, carrying a laptop and files. "Working late?" she asked. He stopped, surprised. "Yeah, helping Claire fix some data errors. She's worried about getting fired because of the video. That wasn't her fault." "I know, but she's young, scared." He shifted the files in his arms. "I figured I'd help." Elise watched him carefully. He looked tired, really tired. Dark circles under his eyes, suit rumpled, shoulders bent under invisible weight. "The press release is dead," she said. "Harper told me. Thank you. It was the right thing to do. Still, thank you." He nodded and started to leave. "Logan," she called. He turned back. "You want some help with the data?" He blinked, surprised. "You don't have to." "I know, but I'm here. And apparently so are you. 2 people fixing data beats 1. A small smile crossed his face. "Yeah, okay. Thanks." They worked together in Claire's cubicle, side by side, fixing errors and cleaning up messy files. They didn't talk much, just worked. But the silence felt different now, less tense, more comfortable. Around 8, they ordered takeout, Chinese food, delivered to the empty office. They ate at Elise's desk using chopsticks and paper napkins. "My mom wanted to be a therapist," Logan said suddenly. "Like, a real one with a practice. But she couldn't afford school after my dad left. So she worked as a counselor at a community center instead. That's still important work." "It is. She helped a lot of people. But I always wondered, what would her life have looked like if she'd gotten the chance? The real education, the career she wanted. You've thought about that a lot." "Yeah." He poked at his fried rice. "I think that's why I pushed so hard in school. Why I wanted success so badly. I thought if I made enough money, climbed high enough, it would justify her sacrifice. Make it worth something." Elise set down her chopsticks. "Did it?" "No, it just made me lonely." He looked at her. "What about you? What made you choose this career?" "Control," she said simply. "Growing up, so much felt out of my control. People's opinions, their assumptions, the way they looked at me and decided who I was before I opened my mouth. But numbers? Data. I could control that, master it, make it make sense. That sounds exhausting." "It is. But it's safer than trusting people to see you clearly." They sat in silence, the weight of shared honesty settling between them. "We should go home," Elise finally said. "It's late." They cleaned up together, throwing away containers and wiping down the desk. Logan walked her to her car, both of them moving slowly, reluctant to break the strange peace they'd found. "Elise," he said, as she unlocked her door. She turned. "I know I can't take back what I said, but I'm learning, really learning. Not just about race or bias or any of that corporate training stuff, about people, about listening instead of assuming." He paused. "About you." She looked at him for a long moment. The parking lot lights cast shadows across his face, making him look younger, more vulnerable. "Keep learning," she said softly. "Maybe one day you'll understand what you didn't know before." She got in her car and drove away, leaving him standing there alone. But for the first time, alone didn't feel like abandonment. It felt like space. Room to grow, room to change, room to become someone worth knowing. Saturday morning, Elise visited her mother. Diana sat in her garden, pruning roses with careful hands. She'd healed well from surgery, regaining strength slowly but surely. "You look different," Diana said, as Elise sat beside her on the bench. "Different how?" "Lighter, like you set something down." Elise smiled. "Maybe I did." They worked together in the garden, pulling weeds, watering plants, cutting back dead growth to make room for new life. Diana talked about neighbors, about church gossip, about small joys that filled her days. A car pulled into the driveway. Elise looked up. Marcus Reed stepped out, carrying flowers, lilies expensive and showy. "Oh no," Elise muttered. "Baby, you didn't tell me Marcus was coming?" Diana said, surprised but pleased. "I didn't know." Marcus walked toward them, all smiles and confidence. He was handsome in an obvious way. Sharp suit, perfect hair, teeth too white. He worked in finance, made good money, and knew it. "Miss Diana," he said warmly, kissing her cheek. "You look wonderful." "Marcus, what a surprise." "I was in the neighborhood, thought I'd drop by." He handed her the flowers, then turned to Elise. "Hey, stranger." "Marcus." Diana stood up, gathering her gardening tools. "I'll put these in water. You two catch up." She disappeared inside, leaving them alone. Marcus sat on the bench, patting the space beside him. Elise stayed standing. "I saw the video," he said. "That must have been hard." "It was." "I can't believe you're working with that guy. After what he said?" "It's complicated." "Is it?" Marcus leaned back, studying her. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks pretty simple. He disrespected you. You should have walked away. I'm doing my job. You're making excuses for him." Elise's jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" "Elise, I know you. You're too forgiving. You give people chances they don't deserve." He stood up, moving closer. "Is he apologizing? Making grand gestures? Promising he's changed?" "This isn't your business. I care about you. That makes it my business." Diana called from the kitchen, oblivious to the tension. "You two staying for lunch?" Marcus smiled. "We'd love to." Elise shot him a look. He just shrugged, all innocence. Lunch was awkward. Marcus charmed Diana with stories about work, asked about her health, complimented the food. He was good at this, performing care, saying the right things. But Elise remembered why they'd broken up 6 months ago. Marcus liked her quiet. He liked her calm, but only when it served him. When she disagreed or challenged him, he called her difficult or sensitive. He never yelled, never insulted her. He was always polite, always reasonable. That somehow made it worse. After lunch, Elise walked him to his car. "Be careful with that Logan guy," Marcus said. "Guys like him don't really change. They just get better at hiding who they are. You don't know him. I know guys like him. Trust me." He drove away, leaving Elise standing in the driveway, frustrated and confused. Diana joined her, drying her hands on a dish towel. "He means well." "Does he?" "He cares about you." "No, Mama. He cares about the version of me that never challenges him." Diana was quiet for a moment. Then she said gently, "You're right, I'm sorry." They went back inside together, and Elise helped with dishes, trying to shake off the feeling that Marcus had planted seeds of doubt exactly where they'd hurt most. Monday brought news of the company retreat. 2 days at Lake Lanier, Harper announced at the morning meeting. Team building, strategic planning, mandatory fun, groans around the room. "And," Harper continued, "Elise and Logan will be co-presenting our new data system proposal." Elise looked up sharply. "What?" "Andrew's orders. He wants to see how well you two work together under pressure." Logan met Elise's eyes across the table. She looked frustrated. He felt the same, but they both nodded. The retreat was the following week. They had 5 days to prepare a presentation, knowing Andrew would be watching, judging, waiting for them to fail. They worked together every day that week, met in conference rooms, reviewed data, built slides. Their communication improved. Less hesitation, more trust. But underneath, tension simmered. Elise couldn't shake Marcus's words. Logan noticed her pulling back, becoming more guarded. Friday afternoon, as they finalized the presentation, Logan set down his pen. "Did I do something wrong?" "What?" "You've been different this week." "Distant." Elise closed her laptop. "I'm just focused on work." "Feels like more than that." She looked at him directly. "Someone reminded me that people don't really change. They just get better at performing change." Logan's face fell. "You think that's what I'm doing? Performing? I don't know what to think." "Elise, the retreat is Monday. Let's just get through it." She gathered her things. "Have a good weekend, Logan." She left him sitting there, the distance between them wider than it had been in weeks. Logan stayed in the conference room long after she'd gone, staring at their presentation, wondering if he'd ever be able to prove himself, not through words or gestures, but through the slow, unglamorous work of actually becoming someone different, someone better, someone worthy of a second chance he wasn't sure he deserved. Lake Lanier stretched out like glass under the morning sun. The company had rented a conference center on the water. Modern building, wooden decks, kayaks lined up on the shore. Elise arrived early Monday morning, her overnight bag slung over her shoulder. She'd packed light, work clothes, one casual outfit, toiletries. This was business, not vacation. Logan pulled up 10 minutes later. Their eyes met across the parking lot. He nodded. She nodded back. The distance from Friday still hung between them. Inside, Harper distributed room keys. Team building starts at 2. Presentations tomorrow morning. Tonight's the bonfire. Elise found her room on the second floor, small but clean, with a view of the lake. She unpacked quickly, then headed down to the conference room. The day dragged. Icebreaker games, trust exercises. Andrew watching everything with calculating eyes. Logan and Elise worked together on activities because they had to, but the easy rhythm from the previous week was gone. During a break, Harper pulled Elise aside. "What happened?" Harper asked. "Nothing. That's not true. You two were finally getting somewhere. Now you're back to square one." Elise looked out at the lake. Maybe square one is safer. Safer from what? From being wrong about him. From thinking someone can change when they can't. Harper was quiet for a moment, then she said, "You know what I've learned in 5 years of working with Logan? He's flawed. He's got blind spots the size of Texas. But he's also capable of growth. Real growth, not performance. I've seen it this past month. Or maybe he's just gotten better at hiding who he really is." "Who told you that?" Elise didn't answer. Harper sighed. "Look, I'm not saying you have to forgive him or trust him or anything, but don't write him off because someone else planted doubt. Make up your own mind based on what you've seen." She walked away, leaving Elise alone with her thoughts and the sound of water lapping against the shore. The afternoon activity was kayaking. Elise hadn't planned to participate, but Harper had signed her up and backing out would draw more attention than just going. Logan ended up in the kayak beside hers. Of course. They paddled out onto the lake, part of a group of 8 from the office. The water was calm, the sun warm. For a while Elise let herself relax, just paddling, breathing, existing. "You're good at this," Logan called over. "I used to go to a lake with my dad," she said, "before he passed." "I'm sorry, when did he—" "I was 12, heart attack. That must have been hard." It was. But my mama held us together. She always does. They paddled in silence for a bit. Then Logan said, "My dad left when I was 10. Just walked out one day and never came back. That's different than death, but it still hurts." "Yeah." He paused mid-stroke. "I spent years angry at him. Then I spent years pretending I wasn't angry. Neither worked." "What works now?" "Honestly, I don't know yet. Still figuring it out." They reached a small cove, shaded by pine trees. The rest of the group had paddled further out, their voices fading across the water. Elise floated there, her kayak drifting slightly. Logan stayed nearby, not too close, giving her space. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Okay. Why did you really come to this retreat? You could have said no, could have sent Harper in your place." Elise thought about it. "Because I don't quit, and because I wanted to see if you'd keep trying or give up when things got hard." "What's the verdict?" "Still undecided." He smiled sadly. "Fair enough." They paddled back together, side by side, the afternoon sun warm on their shoulders. The bonfire started at dusk. Someone brought a guitar. Someone else brought marshmallows. Claire made s'mores like a kid at summer camp, her earlier anxiety fading in the firelight. Elise sat on a log near the edge of the group, watching flames dance and spark. The lake was dark now, reflecting stars that were just starting to appear. Logan approached carefully. "Mind if I sit?" She shifted over slightly. He sat down, leaving space between them. The fire crackled. Someone started singing, off-key but enthusiastic. Harper joined in, laughing. "This is nice," Logan said quietly. "It is. I've been thinking about what you said, about people not really changing." "Logan." "No, let me finish." He stared into the fire. "You're right to be skeptical. Most people don't change. They just get older and better at hiding their worst parts. But some people, a few people, actually do the work, and I want to be one of them. Wanting isn't the same as doing. I know. That's why I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm just asking you to keep watching, because I'm going to keep trying, whether you see it or not." She looked at him then, really looked. His face was half lit by firelight, shadows making him look older and somehow younger at the same time. He wasn't performing, wasn't trying to charm or convince, just stating a fact. "Okay," she said softly. "Okay, I'll keep watching." Something shifted in his expression. Relief, gratitude, hope. But he didn't push, just nodded and turned back to the fire. They sat like that for a long time, not talking, just being. The fire burned down to embers, and people started drifting toward the building, tired and ready for bed. Elise stood up. Logan stood too. "Tomorrow's a big day," she said. "Yeah, the presentation." They walked toward the building together. At the door, she paused. "Thank you for today, for kayaking with me, for being honest by the fire. Thank you for listening." She smiled, a real smile, small but genuine. Then she headed upstairs. Logan watched her go, his heart doing something complicated in his chest. The presentation went perfectly. They stood side by side Tuesday morning, presenting their data system proposal to Andrew and the senior team. Their slides were clean, their delivery smooth. They anticipated each other's transitions, supported each other's points, worked like a machine that had finally found its rhythm. When they finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then Andrew actually smiled. "Good work. Both of you." Harper caught Elise's eye and winked. After the meeting, people congratulated them. Claire hugged them both. Even some of the senior consultants who'd been cold to Elise before offered genuine compliments. "Drinks tonight to celebrate?" Harper suggested. "Actually," Elise said, "I'm pretty tired. I think I'll just have a quiet evening." "Fair enough. You earned it." Elise went back to her room and changed into jeans and a soft sweater. She grabbed a book and headed down to the deck overlooking the lake. The sun was setting, painting the water orange and pink. She settled into an Adirondack chair and opened her book, planning to read until dark. Footsteps on the deck. Logan appeared, 2 bottles of water in hand. "Peace offering," he said. "Again." She laughed despite herself. "You keep offering me things. It's the only move I've got." He handed her a bottle and sat in the chair beside hers. They looked out at the lake, watching the colors shift and change. "We did good today," he said. "We did. I couldn't have done it without you." "Yes, you could have, but it would have been messier." He smiled. "True." They sat in comfortable quiet. Elise tried to read, but she kept getting distracted by the sunset, by the sound of water, by Logan's presence beside her. Finally, she set down her book. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Anything. When you said what you said that night about being tired of loud black women, what did you really mean?" Logan was quiet for a long time. Then, "I meant I was tired of being challenged, tired of having my assumptions questioned, tired of not being the smartest person in the room." He looked at her. "I was tired of feeling small, so I tried to make someone else smaller. That's the ugly truth. Thank you for saying that. I should have said it weeks ago. Maybe I wasn't ready to hear it weeks ago." The sun dipped below the horizon. Stars appeared one by one. Someone lit tiki torches along the deck, and the flames flickered in the growing darkness. Logan stood up. "I should let you get back to your book." "Wait." He turned back. Elise stood too. They faced each other in the torchlight, close enough that she could see the green flecks in his eyes, the uncertainty in his expression. "I'm glad we did this retreat," she said. "I'm glad we got this time away from the office and Andrew and all the noise." "Me too." She took a step closer. So did he. "Elise," he said quietly. "Yeah? Can I?" Their faces were inches apart. His hand came up slowly, carefully, touching her cheek with gentle fingers. Her breath caught. She leaned forward. He leaned forward. Their lips almost touched. She pulled back suddenly, eyes wide. "I'm sorry. I can't. I'm not ready to trust this." She turned and walked quickly inside, leaving him standing alone on the deck, his hand still raised, his heart pounding. Wednesday morning, they drove back to Atlanta in separate cars. The easy warmth from the retreat had evaporated, replaced by confusion and regret. Elise threw herself into work. She had 2 weeks left on her contract, 2 weeks to finish the audit, deliver her recommendations, and leave this company behind. Thursday afternoon, Marcus showed up at her office. "What are you doing here?" she asked, surprised. "Lunch?" He held up a bag from her favorite sandwich shop. "I was in the area." They ate in her temporary office. Marcus asked about the retreat, and Elise gave vague answers. She didn't mention the almost kiss, didn't mention Logan at all. "I've been hearing things," Marcus said carefully. "What things?" "About Logan Pierce, about how his demotion was staged." Elise set down her sandwich. "What?" "Andrew Kim planned it. Made it look like Logan sacrificed something when really he just moved offices. It was all PR, making Logan look noble, making you look forgiving. Good optics. Where did you hear this?" "I have friends who work here. They see things." Marcus leaned forward. "Elise, I'm worried he's playing you, using you to rebuild his image." Her stomach twisted. "I don't believe that." "Why not? What do you really know about him except what he's shown you these past few weeks? People are good at performing, especially when their careers depend on it." She thought about the bonfire, the kayaking, the almost kiss. Had it all been calculated? A long game to fix his reputation? I need to work, she said quietly. Just be careful, please. Marcus touched her hand. You deserve better than being someone's redemption story. He left, and Elise sat alone in her office, doubt creeping in like cold water. Friday afternoon, she found Logan in the break room. We need to talk, she said. Okay. They went to an empty conference room. She closed the door and turned to face him. Was your demotion real? He blinked. What? Your demotion? Andrew taking away your office, your promotion. Was it real or was it staged? It was real. Elise, what's going on? Someone told me it was PR. That Andrew planned it to make you look good. That's not true. I lost actual opportunities, actual money. Harper reports to Andrew now instead of me. All of that really happened. How do I know you're not lying? The words came out harsh, and she saw them land like punches. Logan's face went pale. You don't. You just have to decide whether you believe me or not. That's not good enough. Then what is? What would convince you? Because I've done everything I can think of, apologized, changed how I act, stood up to Andrew, lost my promotion, and you still don't trust me. Because maybe you're just good at playing the part. Silence filled the room. Logan's shoulders sagged. You know what? You're right. Maybe I am just playing a part. Maybe everything I've done is performance. But here's the thing, Elise, I can't prove my intentions. I can only show you my actions, and if my actions aren't enough, then nothing I say will change your mind. He walked to the door, then turned back. I hurt someone I respect, he said quietly, and I've been trying to make it right. Not for my reputation, not for my career, but because it was the right thing to do. If you can't see that, if you won't see that, then maybe Marcus is right. Maybe people don't really change. He left. Elise stood in the empty conference room, her chest tight, her eyes stinging. She'd pushed him away, finally, completely. That's what she'd wanted, right? To protect herself? To stay safe? So why did it feel so wrong? The weekend passed slowly. Elise visited her mother Saturday, but Diana could tell something was off. What happened? Diana asked as they sat in the garden. I think I made a mistake. With the man from work. Yeah. Diana waited, patient as always. He's been trying so hard, Mama, really trying. And I pushed him away because I was scared of being wrong about him. Being wrong how? Wrong to trust him. Wrong to think people can change. Wrong to believe he's different than who he was that night. Diana set down her pruning shears. Baby girl, let me tell you something. People can change. They do it every day. Small changes, big changes. But change is hard, and it's slow, and it's messy. And the people trying to change, they need grace. They need space to stumble and get back up. What if I give him that grace and he doesn't deserve it? Then you learn. You set boundaries. You walk away. Diana took Elise's hand. But what if he does deserve it, and you never gave him the chance? Which regret would you rather live with? Elise sat in the garden long after her mother went inside, thinking about chances and grace and the difference between wisdom and fear. Monday morning, Elise arrived at work determined to apologize to Logan. But his office was empty. So was Harper's. She found Claire in the break room. Where is everyone? Emergency meeting. Conference room A. Andrew called it first thing. Elise's stomach dropped. She headed down the hall, walking fast. The conference room was packed. Andrew stood at the head of the table, Logan beside him looking furious. Harper sat in the corner, arms crossed. Andrew saw Elise and smiled coldly. Perfect timing, Miss Jordan. We were just discussing the delays in your audit. There haven't been any delays. Really? Because it seems to me that working with Mr. Pierce has slowed your progress considerably. Perhaps the relationship has become complicated. The room went silent. People exchanged glances. That's inappropriate, Harper said. Is it? I'm simply pointing out that Ms. Jordan's objectivity may be compromised. Elise's face stayed calm, but inside she was furious. This was Andrew's move. Discredit her work. Embarrass Logan. Maintain control. My objectivity is fine, she said clearly. My audit will be completed on schedule and my findings will be thorough and accurate. We'll see. Andrew turned to Logan. Unless you have something to add. And that's when Logan did something unexpected. He stepped forward. Actually, I do. Andrew raised an eyebrow. The delays Ms. Jordan referenced don't exist because there haven't been any delays. She's been professional, efficient, and thorough throughout this entire process. If there's any compromise to objectivity, it's yours, Andrew. You've been trying to manipulate this situation from the beginning, first with that press release, Now with these accusations. Careful, Pierce. No, I'm done being careful. Logan looked around the room. You all know what I said at that dinner. You've all seen the video. I was wrong. Completely, inexcusably wrong. And I've been trying to do better. To be better. But Andrew's been using my mistake as leverage, as a way to control both me and Ms. Jordan. That's absurd. Is it? You tried to force me into that PR stunt. When I refused, you demoted me. Now you're attacking Elise's credibility because she won't play along with your games. Harper stood up. He's right. I've watched you manipulate this situation for weeks, Andrew. And I'm done pretending I don't see it. Andrew's face flushed. You're both insubordinate. You're both telling the truth, Logan interrupted. And if that costs me my job, fine. But I won't watch you throw Elise under the bus to cover your own manipulations. The room erupted in whispers. Andrew looked around, realizing he'd lost control. This meeting is over, he snapped. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. People slowly filed out, talking in low voices. Harper caught Logan's eye and nodded approval. Elise stood frozen, staring at Logan across the room. He'd done it. He'd stood up to Andrew publicly. He'd defended her. He'd risked everything, again, not for performance or PR, but because it was right. Harper squeezed Elise's shoulder as she passed. That's what real change looks like, she whispered. Then it was just the two of them. Logan walked toward her slowly. I'm sorry I lost my temper. Don't apologize. That was... Her voice caught. That was brave. It was overdue. They stood facing each other in the empty conference room, the morning sun streaming through the windows. I was wrong, Elise said. Friday. What I said about you performing. I was scared, and I let someone else's doubt become my own. Marcus? Yeah. Logan nodded slowly. He cares about you. I get it. And maybe he's right to be suspicious. I gave people plenty of reasons not to trust me. But you've also given me reasons to trust you. And I've been ignoring them because it felt safer to push you away. Elise, let me finish. She took a breath. My mama told me that people can change, but they need grace. They need room to stumble and get back up. And I haven't given you that. I've been judging every move you make, waiting for you to prove me right about you being fake. But that's not fair. That's not grace. I don't deserve grace. Maybe not, but you're trying to earn it anyway, and that matters. Logan's eyes shone. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. She stepped closer. Just keep being who you're becoming. Keep trying, keep showing up. I can do that. They stood there in the morning light, something fragile and hopeful growing between them. Finally, Logan said, I should probably go deal with the fallout from that meeting. Probably. But maybe later we could talk? Really talk? I'd like that. He smiled and she smiled back, and for the first time in weeks the distance between them felt like something they could actually cross. That evening, Elise walked through Piedmont Park, alone. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. Families played on the grass. Dogs chased frisbees. Life continued, ordinary and beautiful. She heard footsteps behind her, turned to see Logan approaching. Harper told me you'd be here, he said. She's becoming quite the matchmaker. She's persistent. They walked together along the path, not touching, just moving side by side. I talked to Andrew after the meeting, Logan said. He's putting me on probation. If I step out of line again, I'm fired. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was worth it. He looked at her. You were worth it. Elise stopped walking. Logan, I need you to understand something. What you said that night, about loud black women, it wasn't just an insult. It was a reflection of years of people telling me to be smaller, quieter, more palatable. Every time I spoke up, someone said I was aggressive. Every time I stood my ground, someone said I was difficult, and I learned to make myself small just to survive. I'm so sorry. I know you are. But sorry isn't enough if you don't understand the weight of what you said. She held his gaze. You didn't just insult me that night. You reinforced every stereotype, every microaggression, every moment I've ever been told that existing as myself is too much. Logan's face crumpled. You're right. God, you're right. I've been so focused on my own guilt that I didn't really think about what it cost you. Not just your dignity in that moment, but all the moments before when someone else said something similar. I added to that weight. I made it heavier. Yes, you did. How do I make it lighter? You can't. Not alone. But you can stop adding to it. For me, for every black woman you meet. You can listen instead of assuming. You can question your own biases. You can call out other people when they do what you did. I will. I promise. I will. They started walking again, slower now, the park growing darker around them. I said I was tired of loud black women, Logan said quietly. But I was just tired of myself, tired of being shallow and careless, tired of coasting on privilege I never acknowledged, tired of being less than I could be. And now I'm learning to listen. Finally, at 33 years old, I'm learning what I should have known all along. They reached a bench overlooking the pond, sat down together, the water reflecting the last light of day. "Elise," Logan said, his voice breaking slightly. "I can't take back what I said. I can't erase the hurt. All I can do is promise that I'll keep learning, keep growing, keep trying to be someone worthy of your forgiveness. Not your trust, I know that takes time, but your forgiveness. Eventually, maybe." A tear slid down her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. "I forgive you," she whispered. Logan's breath caught. "What?" "I forgive you." More tears came now, releasing something she'd been holding tight for weeks. "Not because you've earned it, not because you deserve it, but because holding on to anger is exhausting, and I'm tired of carrying it." He reached for her hand carefully, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Their fingers laced together, and they sat in silence as the sun disappeared completely and the park lights flickered on. "Thank you," Logan finally said. "Don't thank me. Just listen to me when I tell you that forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's choosing not to let the hurt define us. I'll remember that." They sat there until the park grew cold, until families went home, and the paths emptied. Then they walked back to their cars together, holding hands in the darkness, taking the first small steps towards something neither could name yet, but both could feel beginning. The next 2 weeks passed in a strange rhythm. Work during the day, professional, focused, productive. Evening walks in the park, talking about everything and nothing, learning each other slowly. Elise finished her audit. Her report was thorough, honest, and damning in places. She found inefficiencies, gaps, places where Andrew had cut corners to make numbers look better than they were. She knew submitting it would cause problems. She submitted it anyway. Friday afternoon, Harper stopped by Elise's office. "Andrew's furious about your report." "I expected that. He's calling a board meeting Monday. He wants to spin it, make it look like the problems are smaller than they are." Elise closed her laptop. "Then I'll be there to correct him. It's going to get ugly." "I know." Harper leaned against the doorframe. "You're braver than I am." "No, I'm just tired of people getting away with things because speaking up is uncomfortable." That evening, Logan drove to his mother's house. Gwen Pierce lived in a quiet suburb north of Atlanta. Her house was small but warm, filled with books, plants, and photographs of Logan at every age. She opened the door and pulled him into a hug. "My boy, you look tired." "I am tired, Mom." They sat in her living room with tea. Gwen had retired 2 years ago after 30 years as a community counselor. She was small, gentle, and sharper than most people realized. "Tell me what's happening," she said. Logan told her everything. The dinner, the video, meeting Elise, the slow, painful process of learning to be better, and now the fear that he'd hurt her again somehow, that he wasn't changing fast enough, that he'd always be the person who said those words. Gwen listened without interrupting. When he finished, she set down her tea. "You know what the hardest part of change is?" she asked. "What?" "Accepting that you can't outrun who you were. You can only walk forward as who you're becoming." She touched his hand. "You hurt someone you respect, and you've been trying to make it right. That's good. But change isn't a destination, baby. It's a direction. You don't arrive at being good. You just keep walking toward it. What if I mess up again? Then you apologize, learn, and keep walking." She smiled. "You started too late, Logan, but not too late to finish right." He hugged his mother, grateful for her wisdom, for the way she'd always seen him clearly, flaws and all, and loved him anyway. Monday morning arrived cold and tense. The board meeting was scheduled for 10. Elise arrived early, her report printed and ready. Logan met her in the hallway. "You okay?" he asked. "Nervous." "Me too." They walked into the conference room together. Andrew was already there, talking with board members. When he saw Elise, his expression hardened. "Ms. Jordan," he said smoothly, "thank you for your report. Very thorough. Perhaps too thorough. I was hired to find problems. I found them. You found inefficiencies. Normal business growing pains. Nothing serious. That's not what my report says." The board members took their seats. Harper slipped in and sat near the back. Claire was there too, taking notes, her face nervous. Andrew began his presentation. He minimized the findings, spun the numbers, made everything sound manageable. He was good at this, smooth, confident, persuasive. Then he said, Of course, there have been some delays in the audit process itself. Ms. Jordan's timeline extended due to, he paused delicately, personal complications with staff. Elise's hands clenched under the table. That's not accurate, she said clearly. No? You've been here 7 weeks instead of 6. Because you asked me to stay an extra week to implement changes. That was your request, not a delay. Andrew smiled thinly. Still, I think we can all agree that the circumstances have been unusual, having our consultant auditing the very person who— Stop! Logan stood up. Everyone turned to look at him. This is my fault, Logan said. Not hers. I'm the one who created this situation. I said something terrible at that dinner. Ms. Jordan has been nothing but professional throughout this entire process. If there's anyone whose objectivity should be questioned, it's mine, not hers. Mr. Pierce, I don't think— I'm not finished. Logan's voice stayed steady. Andrew's been trying to use my mistake as leverage since this started, first with that press release idea, then with baseless accusations about Ms. Jordan's work. He's not protecting the company. He's protecting himself, because her report shows that his department has been cutting corners for months. The room went silent. One of the board members leaned forward. Is this true, Andrew? Of course not. Pierce is clearly— It's all documented, Elise said. She opened her report. Page 15, incomplete client data. Page 22, unreported losses. Page 31, projects approved without proper vetting. All under Mr. Kim's direct supervision. She slid copies across the table to the board members. They read in silence. Andrew's face went from red to pale. These are taken out of context, Andrew said. No, Harper spoke up from the back. They're not. I've worked here 5 years. I've seen these problems, I've reported them, and I've watched them get ignored because fixing them would make Andrew look bad. More silence. Heavy, damning silence. The head board member closed the report. Andrew, I think we need to have a private conversation. Everyone else dismissed. People filed out quickly. Elise gathered her things with shaking hands. Logan caught up with her in the hallway. Are you okay? He asked. I don't know. Harper joined them. That was incredible, both of you. I might have just ended my career, Logan said. Maybe, but you did it for the right reasons. Harper looked at Elise. He really has changed, you know. The Logan I knew 5 years ago never would have done that. Elise looked at Logan, really looked at him. He'd stood up to his boss in front of the board. He'd taken responsibility publicly. He'd defended her without expecting anything in return. Thank you, she said softly. I meant what I said in there. This was my fault, all of it. No. You made a mistake. Andrew's been exploiting it. There's a difference. That evening, Elise walked alone through Piedmont Park, processing everything that had happened. The sun was setting again, the sky that particular shade of purple that only happens in spring. She found a bench by the pond and sat down, letting the peace of the place wash over her. She heard footsteps, knew them before she turned. Logan approached slowly. Harper said you'd be here. Again, she really needs to stop telling you where I am. I think that's her way of helping. He sat beside her, leaving space between them. They watched the ducks glide across the water. I've been thinking about what I said, Logan began. That night. I'm tired of loud black women. I've been so focused on apologizing for it that I don't think I ever really explained what I meant. You don't have to— Please, let me say this. He took a breath. I was tired, but not of black women. I was tired of being challenged by people smarter than me. Tired of having my comfortable worldview questioned. And in that moment, I grabbed for the most hurtful stereotype I could find, because it would silence the conversation and make me feel powerful again. Elise listened, her throat tight. But here's what I've learned, Logan continued. Being challenged is how we grow. Being uncomfortable is how we learn. And the women I dismissed as loud were just refusing to be silent about injustice. They were using their voices the way they had every right to. You've really thought about this. I've had a lot of help. My mom, Harper, you, just by existing and showing me what grace actually looks like. He turned to face her. I said I was tired of loud black women, but the truth is I was just tired of myself, tired of being the kind of person who would say something like that and think it was okay. A tear slid down Elise's cheek. You quoted me. What? What I said to you that night. You remembered. I remember everything from that night, especially the moment I realized how badly I'd messed up. They sat in silence as the light faded. Elise finally broke it. I don't know how to do this, she said quietly. Do what? Trust you? Let you in? Risk being wrong about whether you've really changed? You don't have to know. We can figure it out together. She looked at him, this man who'd hurt her so deeply and then worked so hard to become better. His eyes were honest, his posture open. He wasn't performing, wasn't trying to charm his way past her defenses. He was just there, present, real. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Me too. What if you hurt me again?" Then you walk away. You set boundaries. You protect yourself. He reached for her hand carefully. "But what if I don't? What if we actually figure this out?" She let him take her hand. His palm was warm against hers. "My mama says forgiveness is freeing," Elise said. "Not forgetting, just freeing. Your mama's a wise woman." "She is." Elise squeezed his hand. "I forgave you. In my heart I already did. But I'm still scared. That's okay. Fear means you're being careful. That's smart." They sat holding hands until the park lights came on, until the evening air grew cool, until the last joggers passed by and left them alone with the sound of water and possibility. The next morning, Elise went to see her mother. Diana was in the kitchen making biscuits when Elise arrived. The house smelled like home. Butter, flour, love. "You look lighter," Diana said, hugging her. "I feel lighter." They sat at the kitchen table while the biscuits baked. Elise told her mother everything. The board meeting, the park, Logan's words, her fear. Diana listened with patient wisdom. When Elise finished, Diana reached across the table and took her hand. "Baby girl, forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's freeing yourself from the weight of what someone else did. You've already done the hard part. But how do I know if I can trust him?" "You don't, not completely. Trust is built over time, with consistent action." Diana smiled. "But here's what I know. That man stood up for you when it cost him something. That man's been showing up, doing the work, trying to be better. That's not performance, that's transformation. What if I'm wrong? Then you learn. But baby, what if you're right? What if this is real? Are you going to let fear keep you from something good?" Elise sat with that question, the weight of it settling in her chest. The timer went off. Diana pulled the biscuits from the oven, golden, perfect, warm. They ate together in comfortable silence, and Elise felt something loosen inside her. Permission to try, to risk, to hope. That afternoon, Elise texted Logan. "Want to grab coffee?" He responded immediately. "Yes." "When? Now?" "I'll meet you at our place." Our place. The cafe where they'd first sat together, crowded and accidental. Now it felt like theirs. She got there first, ordered her coffee, black, no sugar, and waited. Logan arrived 5 minutes later, slightly out of breath like he'd been hurrying. He saw her and smiled, real, unguarded, warm. They sat across from each other at a small table by the window. "I want to try," Elise said. "Try what?" "This. Us. Whatever this is becoming." She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. "I can't promise I'll always trust you. I can't promise I won't pull away when things get hard. But I want to try." Logan's eyes shone. "I want that too. I need you to understand something, though. I'm not your redemption story. I'm not the prize you get for learning to be better. I know. I'm just a woman trying to figure out if you're someone worth my time and my heart. And that's going to take a while. I'll take however long you need." She smiled, small but genuine. "Okay then." "Okay." They drank their coffee and talked about small things. Work, weather, a movie Elise wanted to see. Normal things, easy things. And for the first time, being together felt less like walking on eggshells and more like simply existing in the same space. The following weeks passed in a new rhythm. Andrew was quietly let go. The board offered Logan his old position back, but he turned it down. He liked where he was. Less pressure, more room to focus on doing good work instead of climbing ladders. Harper got promoted to division head. Her first act was asking Logan and Elise to help her rebuild the team's culture. They worked together, planning, implementing changes, training new staff. The office felt different, lighter, more honest. Claire came to Elise one afternoon, nervous and apologetic. "I'm sorry I posted that video," Claire said. "I wasn't thinking. I just saw it and thought, I don't know what I thought, but I'm sorry." Elise surprised her with a hug. "You were young and impulsive. We all make mistakes. Just learn from it, okay?" Claire nodded, relieved. Harper started joking about being a third wheel. The three of them would grab lunch, and Harper would pretend to be offended when Logan and Elise shared glances or inside jokes. "I'm literally right here," Harper would say dramatically. "You're the one who pushed us together," Logan pointed out. "I know, I'm a matchmaking genius, but now I'm lonely." She grinned. "Someone needs to find me a romance so I can stop living vicariously through you two." They laughed together, friends now, real ones, built on honesty and shared struggle. 6 weeks after the board meeting, Logan asked Elise to dinner. "Fancy dinner?" she asked. "Very fancy. What's the occasion?" "You'll see." Saturday evening, she wore a burgundy dress and heels, did her hair in soft curls, put on lipstick the color of wine. Logan picked her up at 7, wearing a suit that fit perfectly, holding flowers. Wildflowers, not roses, because she'd mentioned once that she liked things that grew free and untamed. They drove through Atlanta as the sun set. Elise didn't realize where they were going until they pulled up to the building. "The rooftop restaurant," she said, "where it all started." They rode the elevator up together. The restaurant glowed with the same amber lights, overlooking the same diamond skyline. But everything else was different. They were seated at a table by the window, ordered wine, appetizers, entrees, talked easily about work, about Harper's new role, about Diana's garden blooming into summer. After dinner, Logan stood up. "Walk with me?" They went out to the deck, the same deck where Logan had said those terrible words months ago. The city stretched out below them. Atlanta at night, beautiful and complicated and full of life. "I've been thinking about what to say all week," Logan said. "Practiced it in the mirror, wrote it down, deleted it." "Logan, let me get this out before I lose my nerve." He took her hands in his. "You silenced me that night, with grace, with dignity, with the kind of strength I'd never seen before, and I've spent every day since trying to understand that strength, trying to learn from it." "You have learned." "I'm still learning. Every day." He squeezed her hands gently. "Elise Jordan, you've taught me what it means to really listen, not just hear words, but understand the weight behind them. You've shown me that quiet strength is louder than any shout, that grace is harder than anger, that change is possible if you're willing to do the work." Tears gathered in her eyes. "I love you," Logan said simply. "I love your quiet confidence. I love your strength. I love the way you call me out when I need it and give me grace when I don't deserve it. I love who I'm becoming because you're in my life." Elise's breath caught. "Logan, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know." She reached up and touched his face. "Then you finally learned to listen." She kissed him, soft at first, then deeper. His arms came around her waist. Her hands slid up to his shoulders. They stood there on the deck where it had all begun, rewriting the story, creating something new from the wreckage of that night. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Elise said, "I love you too, not because you've changed, but because you're willing to keep changing, to keep growing, to keep learning. That's all I want, to keep becoming someone worthy of you. You already are." They stood together as the city lights shimmered, as night settled over Atlanta, as their story turned a corner into something neither had imagined months ago, but both were grateful to have found. 1 year later, Harper's wedding was exactly like Harper, organized chaos with an open bar and a killer playlist. The ceremony was in a garden outside the city, white chairs, flower arches, the bride radiant in a dress that somehow managed to be both elegant and entirely Harper. Elise and Logan arrived together, officially a couple now. No more uncertainty or careful distance. "There they are," Harper called from across the lawn. She rushed over, still in her wedding dress, practical as ever. "Thank God. I need you two to help me deal with my aunt who won't stop criticizing the cake." "It's your wedding," Elise said. "Tell her to deal with it. I love you." Harper hugged them both. "Seriously, you two are my favorite success story." "We're people, not a project," Logan said. "You're both, now go inside. Your mothers are meeting for the first time and I need witnesses in case it gets weird." Inside the reception hall, Diana and Gwen stood by the punch bowl, talking like old friends. Diana wore a purple dress and her best church hat. Gwen wore simple elegance, grey dress, pearl earrings, warm smile. "Mama," Elise said, approaching. "Baby girl." Diana pulled her into a hug, then turned to Gwen. "This is my daughter, Elise, the brilliant one I told you about." Gwen smiled at Logan. "And this is my son, Logan, the work in progress." Everyone laughed. They sat together during dinner, both couples, both mothers, all intertwined now in ways that felt natural and right. Diana told stories about Elise as a child. Gwen shared memories of Logan's attempts at cooking that always ended in smoke alarms. "They're good together," Diana said quietly to Gwen. "They are. He's better because of her. She's softer because of him." "Softer?" She always protected herself by staying guarded, but with Logan she laughs more, opens up more. Diana watched her daughter across the table. "He's taught her that vulnerability doesn't mean weakness." Gwen nodded. "And she's taught him that listening is more powerful than speaking." The reception continued into the evening. Dancing, toasts, cake cutting. Harper and her new husband slow danced to a song about second chances. Logan pulled Elise onto the dance floor. She went willingly, fitting perfectly against him as they swayed. "Happy?" he asked. "Very. Me too." They danced, and Elise whispered something in his ear, something funny, something private. Logan laughed, really laughed, loud and unrestrained, and completely unafraid of being the one making noise. Elise grinned up at him. "Look at you, the loudest one here. You taught me it's okay to take up space. And you taught me it's okay to let someone in." They kissed there on the dance floor, surrounded by friends and family and the soft glow of string lights. Harper watched from across the room, leaning against her new husband, satisfied with her matchmaking masterpiece. Diana and Gwen sat together, two mothers who'd raised their children through struggle and love, watching those children find each other and create something new. Later, as the party wound down, Elise and Logan stepped outside for air. The night was warm, stars scattered across the sky. Music drifted from inside, softer now, slower. "Remember when you said I silenced you?" Elise asked. "I remember. You're not silent anymore." "No, but I'm learning when to speak and when to listen. There's a difference." "There is." They stood together in comfortable quiet, proof that silence could be peaceful instead of tense, that two people could share space without filling every moment with words. "Thank you," Logan said finally. "For what?" "For giving me a second chance, for teaching me grace, for loving me even when I didn't deserve it." "You gave me something too," Elise said. "You showed me that people can change, that redemption is possible, that sometimes the person who hurts you can become the person who heals you." "We healed each other." "Yeah, we did." Inside, the last song played. Outside, the night stretched on. And two people who'd started as a mistake and a hurt had become something beautiful. Proof that love doesn't require perfection, just persistence. That forgiveness isn't weakness, it's freedom. That change is possible when someone cares enough to do the work. Logan reached for Elise's hand. She took it without hesitation. They walked back inside together, ready for whatever came next, knowing that as long as they kept listening, really listening, they'd be okay. The story that began with cruel words spoken carelessly ended with gentle truth spoken from the heart, not because the hurt disappeared, but because they chose to grow through it, rather than stay buried beneath it. And that, perhaps, was the most important lesson of all. The end.